Hi, everyone. This is the Heritage Wealth Show, and I'm an estate planning attorney with Heritage Wealth Solutions, and I want to help people understand that they should be building, protecting, and passing on their wealth with intention. And so I'm having guests on to talk about the different parts of that and how you can build wealth. And so I'm so excited about the guest I have today, which is Corey Hayes. She's with Keyrenter of Naperville. It's pretty much a property management company. And so because I had experience of purchasing a property and know a lot of people think about that, I know people need to know about how that works. So I want Corey to introduce herself and explain how she even got into that industry. Go ahead,
Well,
Corey.
thanks, Michelle, for having me this morning. We had such a good conversation last week, and it's fun just to continue it. I have a background in real estate. Real estate and education. I was a teacher for years, and then or in residential real estate sales for about 13 years. And this next segment is I'm doing business development for property management for Keyrenter Property Management Naperville. We are targeting the Naperville area all the way to out to Hinsdale, out to Oak Lawn, and just are excited to take care of owners who have maybe they're accidental landlords, maybe they are aspiring investors, but single family homes, which is a little bit different than what I always thought of with property management. I am familiar with, you know, we have the picture of the super, right? You know, who's out there collecting rents from movies. That's not us. We're not even the high rise, you know, condo necessarily. We are the single family home in a home that maybe is an executive home, and we want to
So,
help take care of that asset.
okay. So these are high end properties we're talking about. And people, I guess, with money to invest in property are buying these properties and then they can hire you to manage them. Is that what it is? Or hire
Yes.
a key renter, really?
Yeah, we come in and we're full service. So we we take it all the way from getting that property ready to rent, finding a tenant, screening the tenant, making sure it's a good tenant because we want, and this is not long-term rentals. I'm sorry, it is long-term rentals.
Yeah.
It's not short-term rentals. It's not mid-term rentals, which is the question we get a lot. Um, there's a lot of buzz about Airbnbs, and that's kind of
Right.
what people are thinking. Is that what you're doing? No, that's not what we're doing. We're doing just a regular, like, come in, live. You've come into town, you need a place to live, you want to live in a nice, beautiful home, and they're there to be rented. And so we find a great tenant, we screen them, we get them in, we take care of the maintenance, we take care of communication with the owner, and make sure that it's just mailbox money for them. They have jobs. People talk about passive income all the time, and
Yeah.
once they take on a home and they start to be a landlord, they realize that is not a passive income, and we want
Right.
to get passive again. So anyway, we take care of it. We send reports, we communicate, but we also are trying to create a peaceful environment for the tenant so that um, they stay.
Yeah.
So, many of the people, even though we are just opening, our owner, Steve Kuba, has been managing his own real estate portfolio since uh, 1997. And so he has tons of experience with that. And many of his tenants have been there for 10 years, 10 plus
And
years.
could you
So
say
we
about
really
how
communicate.
many properties he has?
You know what?
Just for the listener,
I
to have
don't
an
have that
idea.
actual number. It's a lot. It's a lot of
Okay.
properties. And
Yeah.
so, anyway,
So,
that's his background. So we want to create a peaceful experience for the tenant so that they stay. if there are any issues, we take care of them.
And this just makes it easier for the owner, right? Because if they have their own professional jobs or any job that they do have, and they don't have the time to manage, which was my experience, it's very time consuming to try and manage a property. I have a short term rental. So, like you said, for people that don't know, Airbnb properties on Airbnb and Verbo and those kind of booking sites for short term stays are short term rentals, but long term rentals are like what a year minimum stay. Is that what it is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes people ask, well, can I ask for a 2-year lease?
Hmm.
They're probably going to stay 2 years. They're probably going to stay longer, but a 1-year lease gives us a bigger pool of applicants.
Oh, nice. Good to know.
So,
So that's
yeah.
a good tip. And why property managers know these things as opposed to a new property owner or investor. We don't know all these things, and we need advice of someone that's experienced in this, like your employer, Kuba. So now, when people are buying these properties, how do they do you find how long does it take before they realize they need a property manager, and should they have realized it sooner? Do you find?
Yeah, that's a great question. Being a landlord's great until it's not, right? So a lot of people start DIY, they do it themselves, and I understand why. Maybe their margins are tight and they're just getting into it. They're hoping to make a little bit of cash flow. Everybody kind of is familiar with cash flow, but there's more to it than that. And once the midnight maintenance calls come, and somebody's air conditioner breaks on 4th of July weekend, um, they're thinking, well, maybe it would be nice to have somebody else. Plus, it's really kind of, I mean, you're an attorney, so there's a lot of regulation and laws that need to be followed
Yeah,
when it comes to property management. And I think one of the things I'm hearing from people is they're saying they're a little nervous um,
yeah.
about getting themselves into hot water, just not knowing. And so it's our jobs to know, like we know.
Okay, and so they could come to you with any questions, and you'll be happy to advise them and maybe direct them to an attorney as well. Is that?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to we're not we're not attorneys, and
Yeah.
so when it comes to the law, attorneys are there, but we're here to make sure that the screening process for tenants is done in compliance with fair housing laws. We stand in between the owner and the tenant to protect the tenant for that I mean, well, both, right? But to protect the owner um, from just saying something that they didn't mean in a bad way, but could get themselves into some hot water. So we are there as an agent to protect.
So are you finding that people that invest in property, they should really have several advisors in place, maybe even before they start doing that? Maybe a CPA, maybe a tax strategist, maybe a lawyer, or even, and then also have you guys, property management in place. So when
Yeah, I
they
think a
start,
team really.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm coming from a real estate background, and realtors are in the mix of knowing we that was always a team in real estate, right? Where there was a real estate attorney, there was a home inspector, there was an agent, there was a lender, there was a team there. In property management with leasing, now we're talking, not only is somebody's home usually their greatest asset,
yeah,
financially, but when you start talking about investment properties, it's so much bigger than that. And so there are wealth advisors for 401ks and mutual funds and
mhm,
stocks and bonds, but who's managing the real estate portfolio? Who's
right.
managing that asset portfolio?
And do you
That's not a
find,
DIY project at all.
yeah,
That requires CPAs and attorneys, and um, I I mean I it yeah it's advisors help us to do, professionals help us to thrive and to grow.
And do you find that, like with real estate, that's the biggest wealth builder that anyone can have? Do you have that thinking?
Sure.
Yeah. So
Sure.
do you, I think you shared a story, and I don't know if you can share it here, about like what families, even just families that purchase homes they live in, what they actually do later. They usually sell it when they could have kept it in the family. Do you have a story about that that you could share?
Right. And sometimes it makes sense to sell. There are a lot of reasons why selling is good, and I'm certainly not against people selling homes, but coming from the perspective of uh, looking at all the options. Back in 2021, my mom had passed away. My dad came to me to sell his house, which is the house I grew up in. So on the one hand, I was happy to have a listing, of course,
Yeah.
but sad to be letting seeing the family property go. So many memories. And at that time, I think what's really important to, I think what's starting to hit me is that when I was in real estate and I was selling residential real estate, I really did not know as much about the rental market as people might have assumed that I would. And
Okay.
I think that's actually true for a lot of realtors. I think
Yeah.
that, we all have a lane, right? And
Mhm.
you are in wills and trusts, and you're helping people build wealth and protect and pass to the next generation. And that's your lane, right? Whereas there's so many fields of law, and
Right.
your lane.
Yeah.
And sometimes probably people come to you and they want to ask you some legal question, right? That's outside of your lane, and you go, you really should,
Right.
let me
Right.
direct you to the
Oh,
person you should
right.
talk to for that, because we don't
Yeah.
know everything about
Right.
all laws.
Hmm.
Same for real estate. And so, I mean, there's commercial, there's residential, there's property management, there are rentals. And so I didn't work with a lot of investors, and that just wasn't my niche. And so I didn't think about renting that property out. It was a fully paid off property. It was a beautiful
Wow.
home in Wheaton.
My goodness.
It was, um, it could have rented for a really nice. I mean, it probably would have been like 4 grand a month for rental.
Yeah. Right.
Um, that's really, and it was paid off, right? So talk
Right.
about
And
cash
then
flow. That
I
would have been really
know.
nice. And it, so we sold it. We never had the conversation about renting it because my dad didn't want to manage it. I didn't want to manage it. I didn't want to move into the property yet. My kids probably would have loved it, like down the
Yeah.
road, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't the time. And so we thought, well, we need to sell, right? So we did. I Since 2021, I think it's probably gone up 150 to 200 grand
Wow.
in value.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So
of the area. Yeah. That's
yeah,
insane.
and because of the market at that
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
it it was a great market for the past, their prices really went up.
Yeah.
So I I look back on that now, and I was talking with my dad the other day, and he said, "Yeah, that's not what I wanted to do." Well, fine.
Right.
But I
Yes.
didn't even have the idea. Like, I didn't advise
Right.
him of that option. And had we run the numbers, we might have said, "Oh, you know what? There's plenty of money for us to get a renter in there, get you into your next, home for the next stage of your life, and keep building wealth over time."
Right.
But we didn't have a tax strategist kind of
Right.
showing us the numbers. We didn't have somebody talking about depreciation. We didn't have somebody talking about cash flow. We didn't have the vision. And
Yeah.
I feel like that was a miss. And I don't want other
Yeah.
people to miss that, because I wish that
Right.
house was still in the family, and it's not now.
Yeah, and it happens to so many families, especially when a person passes, not even someone's already living and selling it, but passing, and people inherit properties and they just sell it thinking that's the best way to get fast cash when there's so many other ways to get money and build on that for the next generation and not to feel like they're starting over, right? And that's why I want to talk about these things so that people have this idea and not just think the automatic thing to do is just sell a property, especially like why most people that are living that will sell because you don't want to deal with managing a property. But you have the money to invest, you had the money to pay off a home, but you don't want to manage that. You want to move on to the next and not worry. And now there's property managers that can actually help you keep this in the family, run it for you, build your wealth. And you're not just another person not thinking of long term family generations when you could be. And even thinking of yourself during your life and how that adds protection because of all the money you already invested in a property that will grow in value over the next 10, 20 years. It's
Well, what
insane.
is it? I mean, in the past, it was like there was the family estate, right? And,
Yeah.
the family land, and people lived on it and they built on it and they improved it. And, that's how the home got it. Sometimes some of these homes took 50 years to build, right? But that they could do that because that was going to stay in the land forever, right? That
Yeah.
people
Right.
did not get rid of their land. They did not let go of their homes, and they would just continue to build. And you mentioned something. You were talking about the team, and you said something last week about an applied agent. I didn't even know what that was.
Right. An enrolled agent.
Enrolled.
Um,
See, I
and
didn't remember wrong.
that's what I had to find in my experience when I was thinking, okay, how do I invest in or lower my taxes was my goal. And so I found an enrolled agent that advised me about investing. It's a way to lower your taxable income. Because if we think about most professionals, high income earning professionals have to pay high taxes. And it's like, well, can I build wealth? Can I have some sort of protection with this tax money? And there are ways, and we don't know them. And I had to find that person, a tax strategist, the person called an enrolled agent that would know this kind of information, what's in the tax code as pertaining to long term rentals, short term rentals, and how that becomes taxable deductions, I guess, or deductions for your taxes. And so, yeah, most people don't know because we are looking to our CPAs to really guide us in that when they're not always going to. There are CPA firms I know that will actually have an enrolled agent in it for these things. And not all of them are so well versed in speaking to you and explaining it to you in a way that you would understand. Oh, I could invest in real estate and that can help me reduce my taxes. And then but then, yeah, then you get the real estate and how do I manage it? So that's why
Right.
all these concepts are so important as we're growing our wealth, and especially high income earners that have the money to invest, but don't know how to do it and don't know these strategies that are in the tax code that the government actually wants you to invest in property. It's just you have to do it a certain way and follow their rules. And if you do it that way, you can actually build wealth.
Yeah. And there are certain, I guess there's so many um, misconceptions, I think. And like even talking with my dad, coming from his background, he's very well versed in stocks and um, investments, financial investments. And the
Yes.
real estate world was not something, we kind of went through this conversation,
Mhm.
and it was not what he was familiar with because he had a profession that he loved his job, and he did
Right.
not it he didn't want to be collecting rent.
Right.
That wasn't, I mean, he would have
Right.
loved getting that check, but he didn't want
Yes.
to have to be the one saying, it's time to pay your rent. He had a
Yeah.
job he loved,
Right.
and yet could have benefited from those tax
Right.
benefits and the depreciation had he had someone advising him. And for all the advisors he had, including his real estate agent, me, his daughter, who loves him the most, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know to share it with him. And so maybe it's the teacher in me, but I just want to start having the conversations. No, it's not always the solution. Sometimes sell and move on, but sometimes it's sell it and exchange it, right? With a 1031
Right. Yeah.
exchange.
Yeah.
Or
There's so many
sometimes
different
it's
ways.
rebalance your portfolio. And so it's not like there won't be sales. And, as a real estate agent, you go, wait a minute, I don't want rentals, I want sales. Sure. Yeah, there will be plenty of sales and there will also be plenty of purchases. And you don't have to be the expert on all of, cap rate and
Right. Yeah.
uh, all of, those things, because you can have a property management company that comes from an asset management perspective, like we
Right.
do,
Yes.
and a wealth solutions, minded attorney
Yeah.
and an enrolled agent, or just even, I think, there are enrolled agents and then there are CPAs who are just really tax focused, right?
Right. If they
That's
know.
what
Yeah.
their point of focus, and making sure that all the options are on the table, and that it's
Right.
not, they're not looking for another job, they're looking for passive income, and you need a team
Right.
to do that.
Right. And so I think the biggest misconception is if you're high income earning, you would have advisors that would tell you this, or you would know it yourself, because if you reach that level, you would just know. And it's not true. You have to have the intention of wanting to know and trying to find that information, because, yeah, I'm an attorney, but I don't know everything. And there are actual attorneys that have LLMs in tax to advise on these kinds of things as well. So the people are out there and ready to help you, and you just have to set the intention. Do I really want to build wealth? Do I want to build it through tax advantage strategies? And then how do I do that? And how can I find the people that will help me? And I'm just in that mindset because I had difficulty trying to figure this out as I was earning income and seeing so much of it go to taxes, and thinking there's got to be a better way. And how do I actually build it so that I can have something to rely on and count on to protect me in life, and then pass on at death? Like, how do I think of that, and why I want to discuss these things with people, and give them little parts of how, like, a property management company can help you, because we don't want to do everything. We don't want to stress ourselves out trying to do everything. We want to get the proper advisors to help us, the proper management to help us, people we can count on. And if they're in our backyard and we don't have to go all the way to another state or another side of the country, that would be nice. And if we could just meet them, and why I want to do this show and why I want to have guests like you on to share with people that you're right here and you're ready to help and ready to meet with them, and share how you can do that. So I guess I want to go on to the next thing of what should people really be thinking of when they're looking for a property management company? Like, what are some tips you can give people what they should be looking for in terms of how this property management company can take over and they can just be maybe stress free, counting on this company?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is communication. And so that's a high priority for us. We pick up the phone, we get back to people. In the property management world, there's a triage, right? It's not, uh, we promise within 24 hours, we're going to
Okay.
take care of
Yeah.
that leaky sink. But I'll tell you what,
Yes.
if there's a fire, that's going to
Absolutely.
get taken care of right now. And we pick up the phone and we are um, on it with communication, with reports. A lot of landlords are out of state or even out of country. Sometimes the owners are not able to come and check on that property. So
Right.
we're their eyes and ears, we're their boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And you want somebody who's not only keeping a really close eye on that property, but also communicating clearly and like balancing it, right? With not
Right.
over communicating. So
Yes.
we have an eye of, okay, we want to make sure that we're communicating clearly, setting expectations, um, telling you what we're going to do, doing that, and then telling you what we did. But that's like three things, right? As
Yeah.
opposed to daily emails going, hey, can,
Right.
we fix the this outlet, needs to be
Hmm.
replaced. We have money in reserve. So it's good to have uh, a reserve account. You want
Yes.
there to be some sort of a reserve account
Okay.
that can handle some minor fixes without having to bug the landlord.
Right.
Um, we, and beyond that, somebody who has quality maintenance people who know how to handle the higher end finishes. So,
Yes.
we're not just talking about the we can take care of the laminate countertops and
Oh,
the
nice.
we can take care of those properties well, but we can also take care of the granite and the stone and the
Yeah.
Viking,
I
range, and making sure that we know how to keep that asset
right.
in
Because you're dealing with
well
high-end properties, so
appreciated.
you're dealing with high-end, let's say, laminate, stone, marble, whatever. And I did hear, I know a lady that does cleaning, crystal clear cleaning. She has people go in and clean these certain types of uh, bathrooms and countertops, and she knows what should be used. And so when you have a property manager, you want to make sure that they know what to be telling the cleaning staff
Right.
because that's so important. I know even for my own home because it's an actual short-term rental and we want it clean. We want it cleaned right. And
Yeah, you
so
want it
yeah.
cleaned right is the point. You want it cleaned
Yes.
right.
These are not cheap properties. Okay, so yeah, so it's important. All those little things you will take care of, and so the owner can be not 24/7 thinking they have to manage and worry and be in
No.
communication with someone. They know someone's taking care of it, and they can just focus on what they're good at.
Yeah, and like I said, screening those tenants, making sure that we check their eviction background, we check their credit score and their income, and we verify those things. We screen the pets. We um, put protection in place. Evictions are super rare because of our high level of screening with tenants,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
even if one came through, we have an eviction guard guarantee that we would cover the cost of the eviction. So, we tenant vacancies are a big deal. Like, what's the turnaround time? How quickly, if I give you this property, how quickly can you have it rented out? That's a good
Yeah.
question to ask.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
because these are 4,000 or more in mortgage that needs to be covered, right? And taxes, if you think, so yeah, you need it rented.
sure. Well, and think about it. Sometimes people think, well, I want 5,000 a month for rent. Okay, great. Well,
Okay.
if that's your nut, that's what you want every month, and it sits vacant for 1 month. How long does it take to
Yeah.
recoup that?
Right.
Because we were trying to save $100 or $200 in rent. So we rented it out for 4,800 a month instead of five, but that
Yeah.
$200 a month, I mean, it takes a lot of months to make up that 5,000 of 1 month that you
Yes,
missed.
you're right.
So anyway,
So,
somebody who's thinking through those numbers and giving you accurate
yeah.
numbers and prompting you when it's time to take
Yeah.
advantage of an exchange and just
Okay.
the market,
So,
watching the market for you.
yeah, so that's nice because the owner wouldn't know, and to have you be able to give that advice of saying this is a good amount that they're going to be contributing, and you got to think long term because 200 a month for the next 4 months is much lower than, or even for a year, is way lower than 5,000 a month to have to cover for the next who knows how many months.
Hmm.
So think long term, think of what's really important here in terms of loss of money for the person. Um, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that helps a lot with people that are looking to invest. And so, have you seen, and maybe it's your employer, where uh, someone that's experienced and has the ability to manage properties on a large scale, they can actually build wealth for themselves and their family um, if it's done right with great property management. And so, have you seen that's what's true? And when it's bad property management, then it can actually deteriorate wealth building and maybe keep a person from building um,
Well,
property investments.
okay, so here's a story. So I was just
Okay.
talking to a friend of mine who bought a property during COVID, like a lot of people did, right? And um, it wasn't a great experience. And and now he's feeling discouraged and thinking, I don't think this is for me. So first of all, whenever you start something, like you should let yourself be be bad at it the first time,
Right.
right? Like
Yes.
I mean, give yourself a little grace, and just
Right.
because something started out and was rough doesn't mean that it was a bad idea. It just meant that you were learning. And so many people get into properties and they go, "Oh, that wasn't fun. Somebody stole all my tools. This
I
is
know.
terrible. I don't want to,
Right.
and they didn't realize they should have had that stuff out of there and not left it in the garage.
Right.
Well, we're here to do that. So then people get out rather than realizing, oh, wait, or I could hire a professional
Right.
to manage this for me. This could be a lot
Yes.
of fun. This could actually work. They chuck the whole thing, or
Yeah.
they get a bad tenant in there, and that's really and I mean that can make it a bad experience, right? Somebody had to
Right.
go through an eviction, or they
Hmm.
had to go through a lawsuit because they got slapped with a fair housing suit,
Yeah.
or they just there's so many different people talk about squatters. They talk about there's so many
Hmm.
things that can make it be a bad experience. And one bad experience, people say, "Oh no, that was a bad. It's a bad idea." It's not a bad idea. It's a great idea. It's a solid. It's the idea that has built wealth for people for generations.
Yes.
But like take the lesson and go, okay, what do I need to do to make this be a win? And maybe
Right.
that's bringing in the advisors and learning and growing to make it be a good experience next time.
Yeah. So they have to be open to this is a learning curve and maybe even a ongoing learning as you go because you may realize I'm not a good property manager. I'm good as an attorney, the attorney I'm
Yeah.
specializing in. I'll get the property manager and maybe if they don't work out, maybe I get another one and keep learning from that and building your wealth because you don't want to just let it go when you have the capability of
Mhm.
investing in property and
Yeah.
getting the right property managers. So let's say if people want to reach out to you, um, where can they find Keyrenter of Naperville? Is there a website, an address, a phone number?
Sure. KeyrenterNaperville.com is our website, and um, we our phone number is there. That's the best way to reach us, and we can schedule a 15-minute phone call just to run the numbers. You can send us an address and we can give you a rental analysis, just a quick number, or we can give you a full report on whether a property makes sense to buy, if that's a good
Oh, that's
investment
great.
property or not. That's helpful for investors. It's also helpful for realtors because they can
Wow.
run those numbers and then turn around
Yeah.
and we're happy. We want the realtors to look like the hero.
Yeah.
We do not sell real estate. So even though we're all licensed realtors, I'm not poaching clients. So when somebody uses us for property management and the time comes for
It's
them to
amazing.
sell, we reach back
Yeah.
out to the agent who sent them to us,
Yeah.
or we, refer them to another agent if they didn't have one in the first
Yeah.
place, because there's no competition here.
That's
So
amazing. Hmm.
we want to help agents run the numbers so that they can stay in their lane of listing,
Yes.
selling, buying
Wow.
properties, and we'll help them with the rental numbers so that they can stay in their lane. So, yeah, reach out, schedule a quick phone call. I'd love to talk with
Yeah,
anybody who's got questions.
that's amazing because so residential realtors can who know that there are people that are purchasing the properties and are doing it to invest in them, not to live in them, and then need property management, which is hard to find.
Mhm.
That they can just connect with you and know that there's no risk in doing that connection. You're just going to manage that property and So that's amazing that they could just reach out to you, and anyone that is even looking to invest, they can reach out to you. So just make sure, find Corey Hayes with Keyrenter of Naperville. You see the website on the screen, keyrenternaperville.com, and just reach out to her because she'd be happy to help. And just remember, I'm the estate planning attorney that just wants to share this information because I want people to build, protect, and pass on their wealth. So if you're looking to do that and don't know where to start, you can have a complimentary meeting with me. Just find me at heritagewealthsolutions.net. Email me, text me, let me know that you're wanting to start something and have a conversation, and I'm here. So, and remember, a will put you in probate court, and a trust can keep you out. And so that's the goal, to not deplete your assets. So thank you very much, Corey, for being a guest and helping our listeners to learn more about how they can just build their wealth and not stress about it. Thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks. Sure. Hi, everyone. We're back with the first episode of the Heritage Wealth Show. And I am here with Corey Hayes. She's our first guest, and I want to appropriately introduce her and read, but add to that reading. So here it is. Corey Hayes is the Business Development Manager for Keyrenter Property Management Naperville. It's 20 years. She has 20 years of experience in education and real estate, and she brings an educator's heart to asset management. So after 13 years as a top producing residential broker in Naperville, she transitioned from transactional sales to long-term wealth strategy. Today, she works alongside owner and president Steve Kuba to bridge the gap between high-level legal planning and the daily operational systems that turn rental houses into legacy assets. And so their office is coming with a combined experience. I believe it's 65 years. Is that right, Corey? Yeah. So these are people that are very well versed in property management, property ownership. And so that's what you're getting when you're listening to this podcast. So keep that in mind, that these are experts. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're here back on the Heritage Wealth Show, and I have this rapid fire questions for Corey Hayes from Keyrenter of Naperville. And you can see the website on the bottom if you need to reach out to her. But I want to do this rapid fire, just 4 questions. So the first one would be, biggest mistake landlords make?
Becoming friends with their tenants.
Really? So that's a
Well,
bad idea.
I don't know. I mean, it can be great, right? Some people have wonderful relationships with their tenants, but
Yeah.
if giving a lot of slack, if you're the super kind friend and you just the best friend ever, and
Yeah.
money is tight, you may be
Right.
the first person who doesn't get paid.
Yeah, that's a little sad. And then that turns into, okay, am I renting to family? Then that's another issue,
It
right?
doesn't mean don't take great care of your tenants
Yeah,
and treat them,
right. Yeah,
wonderfully, but when you feel responsible for their happiness, and
right.
yeah, you
It's
might
not
not get
good.
paid.
Yeah, so why it's good to have a property manager that can just have the distance in place. Yeah. Second question. One thing every investor should automate.
Oh, every investor should automate. Well, I mean, rent collection is what
Oh, yeah.
popping to my mind. I don't know if
That's
that's, there are
amazing.
so
Yeah.
many other things that we could automate, right? But rent collection, get that,
Because that,
make it easy for people to pay, make it easy
yeah,
for
that's amazing.
the owner to get paid.
That's key. Yeah, I love that. Okay, third question. Best type of property for beginners.
Ah, well, I would say that if you've got a property manager,
Yeah.
then it would be just a good property, something that's not going to require tons of maintenance if you're a
Oh,
beginner.
wow.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say go buy a 100-year-old fixer-upper if you're a beginner.
Right.
Something that's going to
Mm.
not need a ton of work, but then having somebody in there. We usually say minimum 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, single family property that's always going to rent. It's always going to rent.
That's amazing. Yeah, good advice.
Right.
How about the fourth question, one mindset shift people need to build real wealth?
Don't quit. Start today. Don't quit. It's start today and be consistent. Just keep going. Don't turn back and don't put it off because, boy, if I could go back, right? Everybody
Yeah.
goes back to 13 years, all the properties I
Yeah,
could have bought when I was a real
I
estate
know.
agent, didn't do it. But today I can start today, right?
Yeah, and that's all I hear even from people that have lots of properties. They wish they would have never sold the ones they started with. So
Mm.
yeah, that's an amazing thing to keep in mind for
Yep,
everyone
yep.
that's
Well,
just selling,
our
selling,
owner talks
selling.
about that. He's bought properties since
Yeah,
1997, and
yeah.
he took a little break, and they laugh in their family that was like it made sense from just a stress perspective of like, well, let's step back, and now they say no. You know what? We should have kept going because those investments are just over time compounded. They're
Wow,
gold.
wow, great. Well, thank you. So I don't know. I'm going to keep this rolling. I don't
Okay.
know if we should discuss anything else. Oh, I don't know if I asked you this at the end, Corey, but one of these questions was, if someone remembers one thing from the conversation, what do you want it to be?
Oh, one thing I would say, come there. You can do this. Do
Yeah,
this.
yeah, that's
Invest
nice.
in real estate
Yeah,
and build a portfolio and find professionals, get a team together so that you can have a great life. We see TikTok videos of how you can hack everything and how you can, kind of pie in the sky, big dreams. It's great to have big dreams, but they all start small, and they start with a wealth of advisors who you're not looking for a quick fix. This is not like a quick get rich overnight scheme, like you're going to just figure it out all overnight. It's just starting and having the right people in place and doing things that are proven.
yeah,
They've been proven for years, and not trying to do it all yourself.
yeah,
Um, it doesn't have to be so hard.
right. Because there's people out there, experts out there that are willing to help you, and you
Right.
just have to find them and, you know, make sure you feel good about them and hire them and
Hmm.
let them help you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah. And do
important.
what you do best, work in your strengths, right?
Right,
And then find somebody else to work in their strengths. And then
right. Yeah,
we can do it together.
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I like all these. So yeah, I think we covered a lot of things. So I'm going to take your advice about recording everything from the beginning and hopefully get people comfortable just talking on camera, and knowing that we'll just edit what we need to edit out.
We all need an edit button in life, right?
Yeah,
Don't you wish you
yeah.
could go
And
Control
so
Alt
we'll
Delete,
use
get rid
Skype
of some
Studio and
things?
see how that goes, and share that. And so that's what I'm thinking. We came to the realization with this episode is, I'm going to try and redo the beginning,
Okay.
and get that to you for viewing, or maybe get everything to you for viewing, but really just cut it up and see if that's the better way to upload this first thing, on the 10th, is just upload little shorts to get people into the thought of this kind of show. And then maybe next time we do a full one, and know that, yeah, even with this, it's a learning curve. But I will get you scripts and we will see how that goes and see how we can, you know, get get you comfortable, right?
Right.
With
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, I'm
yeah,
comfortable now, right? Now we're
yeah,
chatting away, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah. And that's what
not
it
sure
was.
when it
Like
happened.
when we had our conversation, it was just the flow, right? And so I thought, okay, that's how this can go. It just can. We already talked about everything. We just now need to talk about it recorded.
Right. So if we just set the camera going and start the
Yeah,
conversation,
yeah,
we'll get there. You can clip out the part that you don't like.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being on, and I'll get you some
Thanks.
stuff to look at
Okay.
soon. And we know we have till the 10th
Yeah,
to
we
figure
do,
out
because
what's
well,
this
I
going to
can't
be.
wait until we're able to just officially be. I mean, I don't even have
Yeah,
business cards yet, so
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
really
I
anxious to get.
saw your Naperville post too. Wasn't it Cuba there standing next to you? You were at the Naperville Chamber. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, there was
Yeah.
a Naperville Chamber post, and I think
Yeah.
we've posted for like when we were out in Denver doing intensive field training. We went out to one of the top property management companies, the
Wow.
property top management company in Denver, and they trained
Wow.
us for a week. It was awesome. We shadowed them.
Wow. Cool.
Hmm.
See, so that's good stuff. Okay. So, anything else that we want to cover before I guess we end this?
No, are we still on camera?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you were telling me like how often when do people keep their all their properties in trust? Are all of the investment properties in trust, or are people not do? What are they doing?
No,
What are
everyone's
you finding?
selling. And so that's the sad thing that I'm seeing. Everyone just thinks they inherit and they sell, and that's why I want to talk about this and why no one's thinking long term. No one's thinking of what they can do with this property, which I think needs to be another conversation is you can keep it in the family and build wealth that way, but they don't know how. They only know how to take out money, sell it and get money. There are different ways.
People are selling fully paid off family homes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
maybe are you also seeing people selling homes that have like 2.5%, 3%
Yeah,
interest
and then
rate
there's that,
mortgages?
right. Yeah, because that's all they think of how to get equity or money out of this home is the only way to do it. I need money. I want money. Let me sell it. They don't think of the other ways. Let's get a property manager. Let's get a renter. Let's get money that way. Let's get a home equity line of credit. Let's borrow against. Let's do all these other things. Oh, let's buy another property and rent that out. And we have equity or this collateral right here owning this home so we can get this other home. They're not thinking of all these things.
So
People,
three,
yeah,
4, 5,000 a month. They're thinking I need a big lump sum, but they're forgetting that they could be getting steady. You know what? It's kind of like the lotto. I'm not a lotto player myself.
yeah,
You know, I from what I understand, if you win the big ball, whatever those things are called,
yeah,
you can get like, $50 million, or you can get, one $500,000 a year for the next however many years, right? Which one
right,
would you choose?
yes,
And I guess,
yes,
if you're dependent on the lotto, maybe you should take it all right now. I don't know. But this is not a gamble. This is not the lotto. This is steady income for a property that's going to think about it. Okay, the property is going to appreciate. So the $550,000 home in 2021 is now worth close to $700,000 in 2026. Okay, so that's one. Then all that time, the property could have been depreciating. Actually, in that particular situation, it wouldn't have because they had owned that property for over 40 years. So they were past the point of depreciation, which is
yeah,
27 and a half years.
yeah,
So maybe it would have made sense to do a 1031 exchange, pull that money out, and buy one or two other investment properties.
right,
Maybe that would
yes,
have been a time
yeah,
to sell
right.
and then buy two more.
Yeah, it's
But so
insane.
there's the appreciation, there's the depreciation on taxes. Then there's the fact that, like, now in that particular home it was paid off, but how about the one where you buy a home, you put 20% down, and then let the tenant pay the other 80%?
Oh, I know.
I wish I had done that when my kids were little, right? It would have paid for
Yeah.
college. You know,
Yes.
we could have sold the whole thing off and paid for college by the time they went off, you know, with a 15-year mortgage. Wouldn't that have been nice? And so there are all of those different, and then there's the actual income of the rent, so the cash flow. But that's a lot of different ways to make money.
I
And,
know.
and most people are thinking only, they're just
Right.
thinking smaller. So I
Because
would say
that
expand.
that story of how you said it, it's like the lotto. That's what they're thinking of a house is. This is the lottery. I just won the lottery. I inherited a house. Let's sell it. But yeah, you just
Right,
explained all these other ways that you just won the lotto, and it's
right.
more stable and secure instead of you sell it and you're going to spend all that money because if you sell it even if you sold it for 700,000 or a million, that is still money that just goes away like that if you don't reinvest, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're just going to spend it anyways because how much do you need to spend a year just to live, right? You're going to just spend it all. And then if you get a chunk like that, you just spend it and you just spend it recklessly. You buy the
And how
car you
many
want.
lotto
Yeah, it's
winners
ridiculous.
are bankrupt, right? I mean,
Right.
isn't I
Yeah.
I think the statistics are astronomically high for people who win the big check and then they're bankrupt, and I mean it's actually like suicides are high. I mean
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a not it's not a great fairy tale.
Yeah,
And
they don't have guidance or advisors or anyone that can explain this and break this down to them. We didn't even have that, so
right.
most
Yeah. And
people
how
don't.
about, okay, so do you play Monopoly?
No, I keep hearing that monopoly and cash flow quadrant, whatever, is the
Oh,
way to
yeah.
win this.
Yeah, the
But
cash flow game. Robert
yeah,
Kiyosaki. Yeah.
yeah.
But the Monopoly, I haven't played Monopoly for a long time, and I actually the day I started with Keyrenter, I ended up playing, it was Dinosaur Monopoly with
Okay.
some little boys over at a friend's house. We were, and I'm proud to say I won. But the point is I haven't played Monopoly for a long time, and um, didn't play it a lot growing up. But the one thing that I remembered, like the concept, right? Do you
Yeah.
want the Constitution Avenue or do you want Park Place and Boardwalk? And um, you can make money on both, right?
Yeah.
But so many times people think, well, rentals aren't going to be taken care of. Renters, I'm going to get kind of a junky place, so I don't really have to put a lot of
Mm,
money in it. And then if the renters mess it up, it's not going to be expensive. That's one way of thinking about it.
yeah.
But like expand, all right? Like think bigger. Think those are there
Lack
you can, and
thinking.
I'm not saying that a smaller home, a starter home is not a great investment. It can
Yeah.
be, but taking good care of a property is always a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's something you bought that you want to
Right.
keep, that you want to take care of
Yeah.
and keep in your family for as long as it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And buying a beautiful home in Naperville, um, walk to downtown, and there are people who, in fact, we talked
Mhm.
about the tax advantages of owning a property, but there are
Yeah.
also people who approach their home from a different perspective. There are stockbrokers and people who are in the markets who that's where they want all their money is to be in the market, and so
Yeah.
they're renting a $10,000 a month beautiful, beautiful home. And they have plenty of money to buy all the houses they want, but their money
Mm,
is in the stock market. So to think that rental properties are just two flats or like multifamily or apartment
yeah.
buildings
Yeah.
that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
That's fine. But there are also, like in Monopoly, it's not bad to own some of those higher end properties.
Yeah,
And think about it, if that property walked to downtown Naperville, is that not going to appreciate?
I know.
Not
I
that there
know.
couldn't be a bad year, but historically, that's been a pretty good bet, right?
Yeah,
So thinking about the nicer homes and thinking about having somebody to manage them for you so that you can keep doing eye surgery or you can keep, running your law practice and
yeah,
protect your assets and
yes,
um, think long term of really
yeah.
building monopoly, right?
Yeah, so mindset is key is when you're investing, even no matter how big or how small, is the belief in how important it is to manage it and take care of it and watch it grow and succeed instead of, oh no, this is, because we have movies, the slumlords, all that, and maybe that affects the mindset. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's a
In
key
every
point.
profession,
Yeah,
there are different levels of expertise and there are different levels of professionalism. And so just because you've met maybe an amateur doesn't mean that there isn't a professional out there. And you know what, a lot of
right.
times, I mean, you say you get what you pay for. That's true. But I know sometimes even what you pay, people are trying to save money and they go, with something
Yeah.
1% less,
Yes.
or they're thinking chasing pennies uh, and missing dollars. And I've made that mistake myself multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even that much more expensive to have somebody who really knows what they're doing.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
saves so much pain and expense and time and energy in the
Right.
long run.
Yeah, and it's a learning process through all this. Like you could possibly try to go the less expensive route, see that's not the way, and then realize, okay, I need to do this a different way, and trust yourself in learning from that situation to do better. And not just give up, like you say, not just end it and say, I can't do this. No, I'm learning I can do it a different way. And that's all this is, right? It's learning to do things better. And that's how you do anything better, even in our professions,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So, not giving up and focusing. And what's the goal? What's the intention? Do I want to take care of my family? Do I want to make sure I'm taken care of? What are the steps for that? And is there someone out there that can help me?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Perfect. Thanks,
Yeah,
Michelle.
thank you. Okay.